JT, Jimmy Thompson, and Donato Bucci. They're covering the most current issues in sports from the 305 to the 412 and all the way to the West Coast. You can follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at JT and the Don, or email them at jtandthedon@gmail.com. Now take it away, guys.
Give them a shot to do what?
Welcome to the next episode of JT and the Don, presented by Give Us a Shot Network. I am the Don, Donato Bucci, and remember to subscribe to us, JT and the Don, all sports podcasts. We can be found on all of the major platforms, and remember to leave us a 5-star review, and remember to also please subscribe to the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube channel. Thank you to Nicole Thompson for the wonderful introduction, as always, and to our guy, Mike Regina, with the JT and the Don pump up music. Sorry we were away for week 1 of the NFL, but we are back here to recap the first 2 weeks of the NFL. So without further ado, let me welcome in everyone's favorite, JT, Jimmy Thompson. How you feeling today?
I'm good, but I don't like how you're trying to make this a group thing of why we were off for the first week. You got to take accountability, man. Look, if we're not doing shows because one of us is, way busier than the other, you just got to own that, man. Hey, look, I understand you got a lot of important things to do, but you are the reason we're not doing shows. So come on.
But how can you say that when there's been other times where you've been busy for personal reasons, and I don't call you out for being busy for us.
First of all, like LeVar Ball said, that never happened. So I'm just.
It never happened. Now you're lying.
I'm talking about.
You're lying to the listeners. That's great, because you normally give them bad facts to begin with and terrible opinions to begin with. I got to come in and clean everything up.
We'll never do that.
Don't worry, fans and listeners. You still got the Don. Don't worry.
All right, so let's kick it off. So hey, look, it's NFL season. We got to talk about it. Everything from your Steelers finding their quarterback of the future, maybe, to what's going on in Carolina. But we're going to get to all that. But let's, like you said, talk about the first 2 weeks of the NFL season. Never disappoints. There's always big upsets, big-time performances, and unfortunately, injuries. I wish they could turn the injuries off this season, to be honest. So let's dive into this first 2 weeks, and we're going to start off with a heavy hitter. What's the biggest surprise team to you so far?
I mean, there's only one answer. It's got to be the New Orleans Saints, right? I mean, it's got to be. They went into Dallas and beat them, and they didn't just beat them. They beat them bad, JT. Like, it was not even a game. Like, I kept expecting Dallas to come back. They didn't. New Orleans controlled the game, and I'm surprised by how well Carr has played. Now, I've always thought he's been a really good quarterback. He's been in unfortunate situations. And I thought this was going to be one of those unfortunate situations where he wasn't going to have a good offense because it's a defensive-minded team in a sense because of their coach being Dennis Allen. But the young offensive coordinator, we've talked about him, Clint Kubiak, like him coming in, turning that offense back into a high-scoring offense. That's what surprised me, because sometimes you'll hear that, they've got this piece and Kamara's healthy again and they have this young new coordinator, and you're like, I'll see it when I believe it. And I'm believing it. So I think there's no doubt by far the biggest surprise team is New Orleans.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the low-hanging fruit. But, I mean, you're not wrong. I'm going to go a different route because I'm going to go with a team that I picked in our preview show to make the playoffs as like that last team to get in. And who would have thought they'd be 2-0? It's the Chargers. It's like, just think about this team.
Whoa. Don't give the Don some credit. I'm pretty sure I picked them as like my Jacksonville, Cincinnati type team.
No, we got to go back. We got to go back and run the tape.
I clearly had them in the playoffs.
Your memory
go ahead.
Spotty these days. But no, it's got to be the Chargers, man. Like, think about this team, like, before the season. Now, we know Harbaugh has head coaching experience in the NFL, but he's still coming back to the NFL from a loaded Michigan team. It's not like when he went to the 49ers the first time where they actually had some talent on that roster. It's like, basically, it was Justin Herbert, nothing else. Like, Nobody thought this team was going to be competitive. Like, they still don't have weapons. They got 40-year-old physically J.K. Dobbins out there leading the league in rushing the first 2 weeks. And it's like, how are they doing it? So, and Justin Herbert's not even playing well at all, not at least to the standard we're used to seeing them play. But I'm shocked that they're 2-0. I just did not think that they would start off this hot. So,
but JT,
the Saints are the right answer, but I'm also saying they're like surprised for me.
But the difference is New Orleans had to go into Dallas. I think if someone said, "Hey, which team is more likely to be 2-0 at this point, Chargers or Saints?" you would say, "All right, Saints beat the Panthers."
It would be closer than you would think. I hear your points, but I mean, I also saw the Green Bay Packers go in there and destroy the Dallas defense in the playoffs. So maybe it ain't as vaunted as we once thought it was. But no, I mean, the Saints, I like that answer, but I'm just saying the Chargers. All right, flip the script. All right, who's the team that's disappointing you? And I know you're not going to say the Steelers, especially after you guys beat up.
How could you say the Steelers? They're 2-0. I mean, what's there to be disappointed
I'm surprised
about?
you didn't put them as a surprise, but I guess the standard is the standard. You expect greatness.
Hey, as Coach Tomlin says, the standard is the standard. So biggest disappointing team, I've got to go, speaking of the Steelers, I'll stay in the AFC North with the Ravens. Not only are they 0-2, but because I thought they played the Chiefs really well, especially on the road, big emotional night for the Chiefs. But JT, to lose to the Raiders, I mean, had you lost to the Chiefs in somebody else, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, like I can understand that. But to lose to the Raiders at home, and they don't seem to be having fun, right? When the Ravens are winning, like everyone on that team's having fun.
You hate them when they're winning. That's
I
how
can't
much fun
stand
they're having.
that. I can't stand that. And it's like, but there's a lot of questions to be had. Is Mark Andrews the same, or has his prime passed him by? And then it's like the same old story there. We've talked about this hundreds of times. It feels like not enough weapons surrounding Lamar. Every year they bring in new pieces, and it's like never enough. It's never the right guys. And it's like, or they're not using them properly. So I don't get it. That's why they're the most disappointing. It's because of the Raiders loss and just the way they're playing. Now, maybe had they won that Chiefs game, things are different, but that's the problem. Like they kind of let one loss turn into two.
Yeah, they're like the Hurricanes.
I'm not seeing any identity from this team yet, which is very odd for a Ravens organization and a John Harbaugh coach team.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth because I actually picked the Ravens too, and it pains me to say that. They are 0-2, even though for that type of team it really doesn't matter long term. But something just looks off with them, and it's on offense. Like they just, like you said, they don't like they're having fun. It looks wonky. I don't know if it's maybe Monken's system's not as great as we thought it would be, or maybe Lamar is just hit his ceiling, and now this is like the regression on the way back down. On his back end of his career. I mean, he's not old, but I mean, he's been playing at such a high level, and it's like, all right, we've been waiting for him to take the next step, and it's like, this is the least confident I've seen them start since he's been with them his first year. So I don't know what it is. Like you say, it could be lack of weapons. Maybe they're not using them right. Andrews could be declining. I mean, likely looks like he could be, a superstar one game, and then he gets barely used in a game where they need to beat the Raiders, where they need him to show up. It feels like the only player that is doing anything is just Zay Flowers. It's like if Zay Flowers isn't open, like nothing else works. And then you got Derrick Henry. Like you brought this guy in to take the pressure off of Lamar. Like we know what Derrick Henry is capable of. And then, you got Harbaugh talking about, hey, we didn't bring him in to make him a bell cow, give him 30 carries a game. Excuse me? That's all we're bringing Derrick Henry in to do is run the ball 30 times a game and take the pressure off our MVP quarterback that we're trying to prolong his career as long as we can. So something just seems amiss with this team. I don't know what it is. Maybe we'll find out more later. Maybe they'll start playing better, but they're the most disappointing team. I agree for sure. Let's go with two things because we get a lot of stuff right in the offseason, but there's also stuff we get wrong. So let's start with the negatives. What are the two things you were wrong about this offseason? And you're already like, yeah, 2 weeks in, I was wrong, and I'm ready to admit defeat.
When are you ever that right? You're like, oh, we get a lot of stuff right. You mean me? Maybe, I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Maybe me.
in the next Justin Herbert.
Are you jumping on my back since I mean we're
because you're clearly carrying the show. Where would we be without you?
We're a tandem here. We're a show. So listen. All right. So what I was wrong on was the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. I thought they would do much better. Christian Kirk, 2 catches for a total of 29 yards. He had 1 catch for -1 yards this past weekend, or -1 yard this past weekend. And when you look at their offense overall, only 3 teams have scored less than them. And I think it's the Raiders, the Panthers, and the Giants. That is not a class that you want to be in,
all the
right?
Teams that don't have a quarterback.
That is not a class you want to be in. And I just thought with the addition of Brian Thomas, they have a good tight end. They have Etienne Bigsby. They've got Doug Peterson as the offensive coach who won a Super Bowl before. I don't know what to say. I was wrong. I have no explanation of what is going on there. So I'll leave it at that. But that is definitely something I was wrong about. I thought they would be a lot better, not like prolific, but a lot better than what they're doing right now. And I thought Trevor could take that next step even within the first 2 games. And then the other thing I was wrong about was JSN over in Seattle.
He had a good game.
Yeah. But that's my point. I thought with the new head coach coming in, being a defensive guy, being a Jim Harbaugh guy, they would run. They wouldn't use JSN properly. I didn't know if Geno still could do it another season.
But you got to pay attention, though. They got the OC from the Washington Huskies. So you saw what Penix did. He basically got all those wide receivers drafted.
JT, to be fair, you have a college offensive coordinator coming in that does not always work out, as we've seen.
I understand, but
I also thought it would be
what they did last year with JSN.
But listen, it was DK as well as should be getting a lot of targets. But this is why I say I was wrong about JSN, is because he led the team in week 2 in target share and air yards share. And he didn't do that last year, 1 game at all. So they're already using him way more than I thought. That's really what I was wrong about. I didn't think we know JSN's a really good receiver and will be in the league. I just didn't know how they would use him. And I was very hesitant fantasy-wise, or even saying overall in real football terms outside of fantasy, that, yes, JSN's going to be the guy in Seattle. It appears they're making him the guy even over DK. So that's where I was wrong.
Shout out to Trevor Lawrence. And you know I give Trevor Lawrence shit all the time, but to hear you come around and admit, hey, maybe I was wrong about this guy, that's real growth. I mean, it's crazy.
I didn't say I was wrong about him. I just said
you might be coming around, because as much as I want Trevor Lawrence to,
I still believe
generational label that we've given him basically since he was in high school. I look at his last 8 games, he's 0-8. 0-8, I think, is basically 11 touchdowns to 8 or 9 interceptions, below 85 passer rating. He's just been bad. And I don't know if it's him or if it's Doug Peterson. We'll find out in time. But, yeah, Trevor Lawrence of the Jags not being competitive is definitely a shocker. But I'm not picking them because that's too easy, because I didn't believe in Trevor Lawrence anyway. But why
did you just spend 2 minutes repeating what I said?
Because I wanted to show the listeners that you were right. They are struggling, and I wanted to back you up with some more stats. You say I don't do my homework. I'm further clarifying your point that, you know what, you made a good point that the Jaguars are struggling.
I don't need the backing. I don't need the backing. I do my
you don't need backup?
I do my research.
I remember that.
Okay.
So when you call my phone for backup, I'll put it on silent.
Well, that's different. That's different.
Well, one of these, I'll keep it short because we're going to talk about them in detail a little bit later. It's the Bills. The Bills being a viable playoff team. I know that sounds stupid, but I really thought they would struggle this year with, the loss of weapons. Yeah, they're looking good. I didn't expect the defense to be this good because they lost so much talent to injuries. People have moved on, age, and stuff like that. But hey, shout out to Sean McDermott. All those Bills fans that want him fired, you might want to hold on to him a little bit longer. But the biggest surprise to me was the Steelers. I'm sorry, I know we talked about this, but I didn't expect them to be this competent with what I saw going into the season. Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. I'm sorry, you can say what you want to. That does not elicit, extreme confidence in that team, especially with Arthur Smith calling the plays. But then to see what that defense is doing when it's fully healthy, week one, when I watched them play against the Falcons, we talked about this on the phone. I was like, oh, yeah, this might be one of the best defenses in the league. TJ Watt will win Defensive Player of the Year. Like, they are that good. And I'm like, the Steelers doing it again. Like, it's 8-8 or at 8-8 or better. Like, they're gonna have a winning record, and I should not have doubted them just because of who the play caller was and who the quarterbacks were on the roster. I should have trusted Mike Tomlin's going to, be successful in spite of that. So I was wrong on them. I don't know how far this will go because I agree with you. I don't think Russ is going to get this job back because they seem like they're going to give it to Fields. But I was wrong about the Steelers being, a solid team, man. I thought you guys were going to be at the bottom of that division. So here we go.
I got nothing to say to that. I'm glad you were wrong.
Shocker.
So let's go to Tua Tagovaiola. He once again on prime time, unfortunately, had a terrible looking incident. He suffered his third diagnosed concussion of his NFL career. So definitely some questions we need to ask here, JT. The first one, should Tua retire?
That's such a hard question. Honestly, I don't know, because at the end of the day, it is up to him, and he's got a lot of decisions to make. Of course, he's got to think about his long-term health. The kid's only 26. It's not like his life is over right now after football. He got like 70% of his life still to live. So he's got to think about, long-term, like, what do I want my quality of life to be, when I do decide to walk away from this game. I'm assuming the money aspect's probably not a big deal going into this because he was a top 5 pick coming into the league. So we know he's rich off of that. And then he just got that big extension from the Dolphins. So I honestly can't answer the question because we think about like, oh yeah, the easy thing would say just retire, but it's hard for these guys to walk away from this game. Like, he's worked his entire life, like gone through pain, work, like everything, sacrifice to make it to this moment. And then now you lead the league in passing yards. You've made it to the pinnacle of all your goals. And now it's just supposed to be an easy decision to say, you know what, hey, I'm going to shut it down for my health. I honestly don't know what he should do, because I also wonder, is his concussion issues, are they a little bit overblown because they're so public? Because I feel like there's a lot of guys that probably have had more concussions than him, especially at the quarterback position, where they kept playing. They kept playing a lot of years. They seem to play well. And I wonder, would we be having that same conversation for some of these greats, like a Steve Young, if, we were tracking concussions when he was getting him back when he was playing? Like, will we tell him to walk away from the game at 26 years old, coming off his best season? So it's hard, but I just don't know what he's going to do. I hope whatever he chooses, it's what's best for him, and it's not just all about football.
Yeah, the question, should he retire? I'll leave that up to the medical opinions he gets and the medical experts that hopefully are with the team and surrounding him to allow him to make the most informed decision, or if they need to step in and make the decision for him, whether it's the medical experts or the team. I think the real question is, will he retire? Meaning, it's up to him. What's he going to do? And he's got 124 million reasons not to, because that is the remaining guaranteed money on that extension. He got 43, so 167 million of it was guaranteed. $43 million signing bonus. Now, I'm not sure. It's tough to tell if he got that all up front or if it'll be divvied out over a period of time, but he gets that 43 supposedly no matter what. It's the 124 remaining. If he is forced to retire for medical reasons and they shut him down, he will still get it. If he chooses on his own to retire, he does not get it. So will he retire? I don't think he will. He's already come out and said he will not, but that obviously can change with certain things. But you kind of alluded to some of those things. He's in his mid-20s, JT. Remember how it felt in your mid-20s that you felt invincible, right? Like, a lot of these guys, they are in some of the best condition, best physical shape of any human out there. So they feel invincible. And the other thing is, he's the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, not only of an NFL team, but the Miami Dolphins. He's the king of South Beach. If
there's only two good ones in history.
if they ever win, right? Like, he is the king of South Beach. I mean, you've got the nightlife. He's living in a warm weather city year round if he wants.
Tua is not living your dream life. Like he's just a family man going home. He don't want to be on South Beach, being the king of South Beach like you. Stop projecting your dreams on
and then the money part, right? To be able to live like that with the money part, take care of his family, right? He's a big family guy. So I'd imagine a lot of that money is going back to him, right? So you have all of that. And then it's like you said, they love the game. This is why they play. They don't put their body on the line for just, for the fun of it, thinking, I'll just stop tomorrow. No, like this is their career. It's just like any other person's career, being a doctor, a lawyer, whatever career you want to bring up, right? So he's gone to college for this. So it is tough just to have them finish it. And when you talk about Steve Young, I think the reason why people bring it up, JT, is we've seen the injury. We've seen the concussions play out to where, once again, this past Thursday night, he couldn't move. He was a little rigid. We have not seen one player have multiple concussions like that to where on the field,
it's over for the game. It's over for the game.
Right. Like he's not moving. And that is scary. So I don't know if that means it's a greater degree of concussion. Again, not a medical expert. So I think that's why you're getting a lot of those questions, which may be fair questions. But I think if it's up to him and will he come back? I mean, I think he will. Not just the money, but what we've alluded to, for the love of the game. I mean, you only get a finite amount of playing time in your life. Forget your career, in your life, especially at this level. He's going to take advantage of it until he can't. And so that's got to be a tough decision, unfortunately, that he's got to make. But with that said, have the Dolphins failed him, or has he just been reckless as a quarterback?
I'm going to lean he's been reckless. And we saw it at Alabama, like the injury he had with the dislocated hip, like that was on him. Like they were up big in the game. There was no reason for him to scramble out. The game was over at halftime. It was
they were up 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, so there was no reason for him to take that hit on the sideline just to throw the ball down the field and not be completed. And he missed the rest of the season because of that. So he's been reckless. And you see the same thing, in that game. Like, why are you going head first in a game that's already basically over instead of sliding? Like, you should always be sliding with your concussion history on public record like it is, because even if it's a mild concussion, they're going to pull you out of the game, and the media is going to be so crazy around you where they're going to sit you even if you don't really have to be sad as long as you should. So he's been reckless. And the other thing I thought about was, how is he the one person in the NFL that's not wearing this new Guardian cap that's going around this year? Like,
I saw that on Yeah, I saw that.
I don't get it. Like, I see the guys wearing it. Like, I see, especially at the high school and like the AAU Little League level, like they're all wearing them. And I'm sorry, like if anybody was gonna wear a Guardian cap, he top 5 on the list. Like he should have had that baked into his contract. Like, look, we're gonna give you this money, but you must wear this Guardian cap for every game. Like the fact that he has not worn one, to me, just adds to the further point that he's just reckless. Like it's him. Like at some point, you got to look out for yourself. The Dolphins can only do so much. Their job is to give you the best medical advice they can, get you ready, and put you back out there to win games. Like at some point, you got to take care of you. So I think a lot of it's on him. Like he's been reckless.
So the answer is both. Yes, you mentioned like on this last play, he was being reckless, but you can't shut down football instincts. Now, yes, can he take care of himself a little better? Maybe, but in that moment, JT, that's easy for you and I to say right now, but who's to say we wouldn't have done the same thing to try to get that first down, to try to get in the end zone? So, yeah, maybe some of it can go on him, but the Dolphins have also failed him. Let's be blunt. If you go back to 2022, I think he had a concussion that Sunday game, and they played him on that, and then they played him on that Thursday game against Cincinnati, and that's really the first time where we saw him immobile after a hit. So you play a guy that, maybe he wasn't diagnosed with a concussion at the time, but we all could see it in that Sunday game. You play him 4 days later? What? Like, you got to take some responsibility as the Miami Dolphins. And what you just said, where why haven't you baked certain things into the contract or get them the Guardian hat, then that's also on the Dolphins. Because if Tua's saying, no, I don't want to wear it, They're saying, well, you're our $212 million investment. You're going to wear it. Like, you know what I mean?
No, I mean that's facts. I mean,
so that's why I think
how is he not wearing it?
I think the Dolphins have failed him in many regards. Maybe not on that specific play, obviously, because that was more of a breakdown and scramble. But the other time, 2 years ago, right, they played him on like 4 days rest after it was clear. Everyone that saw the game or highlights knew he had a concussion. He was stumbling against the Bills.
That first game before the Bengals, that Sunday game against the Bills, I'm like, how did the NFL not step in and say, like, hey, like,
how did they not get the call upstairs?
Who
right?
passed him?
To call upstairs, yeah.
Because he went into concussion protocol and he passed. I'm like, who passed him? Because I want to know that person's name so I could just read all their notes on what they saw and diagnosed it with. But I mean, I can get with it with the Dolphins, but at some point you got to look out for you because that's not their job to look out for you. We know how NFL teams are. All right, so at the risk of getting in trouble, I don't want to piss a certain somebody off because I know how touchy they get about this subject. NFL checkdown game. I know how it goes. The fans know how it goes. But Don wants to explain to make sure you have a direct understanding of how this game works. So without further ado, take it away, man. Explain your precious NFL checkdown game.
The fans already know you. They know I didn't write the script for you for this particular part. That's why you have me do it. If I wrote it, you just read it off. You still don't know how to explain the game, do you? So let me explain.
We all know how it works.
No, you don't. But you don't know how to explain it. We have first-time listeners and watchers all the time and viewers.
Well, go ahead. Show them how it's done. A true professional. Show them how to do it. I got to show
you how it's done. So NFL checkdown game, we will read a question and then provide multiple answers to it, just like a multiple choice test. And then we will select what we feel is the best answer that fits the question. All right, go ahead, JT.
So unnecessary. You get it. All right, first one. Bigger surprise, Sam Darnold and the Vikings or the no wide receiver Buffalo Bills?
Again, this is an easy one. Sam Darnold and the Vikings. Listen, not only did they beat the 49ers, and I know the 49ers were like banged up, but no one would have thought that the Vikings were going to be 2-0. And then on top of that, when you look at Darnold's stats, JT at the Giants, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns versus San Francisco, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns. They had the 97-yard pass to Justin Jefferson on the 49ers. I mean, it's easy. It's Darnold and the Vikings because you just said it. It's not so much the Bills don't have receivers, but the Bills are playing really good football because of other things. The Vikings, if we thought anything, we thought maybe Darnold would be the downfall of them. Instead, he's looking better than Kirk Cousins ever did in that offense.
Yeah, I think these two situations are very similar. The difference is the Vikings got more weapons on offense. Now, the quarterback is definitely worse on the Vikings, and we're talking about comparing Darnold to Josh Allen. But the key is both of these teams have great defenses because Brian Flores is doing amazing things with this Vikings defense. He will be a head coach next year. I'm calling it. But I got to disagree with you, man. Bigger surprise is the Bills because they still don't have like a go-to alpha on that offense, and they are blowing teams out. Like, who is the top dog on this Bills offense? You want to say James Cook? Cool. It might not be him next week or the week after that. And he said it best. I believe it was after the Dolphins game. They were like, hey, like, what's the difference between this year and last year? He's like, look, we know not one person gets to eat every week. Like, every week is going to be a different person. That sounds
like he taking a shot at Stephon Diggs.
Right? He's like, look, we ain't got people complaining about not getting the ball. But that also shows they don't have a person that talented to command that type of attention where it's like, hey, the ball has to go to me. It's one thing to ask for the ball, but to actually ask for it and people say like, oh, we won't have to consider doing it means you're talented. They don't really have anybody that's like that. And I'll say this again, their defense up there. Shut down 2 elite offenses. Cardinals week 1, my Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. Say what you want about Sean McDermott, but he might be the best coach in the last 15 years, not named Bill Belichick, that can really develop defensive back play. Because what they are doing with the team's passing attacks is insane. Like, he might do a lot of things wrong that our network friends are complaining about, but one thing he's going to do, he's going to build up a defensive backfield to play good. Look what he did with Josh Norman early on in his career. So the Bills with no weapons and this defense being this good, like they could win the division. And I did not think they would do that at the beginning of the season. Like I didn't even have them as a top 2 team. So,
but JT, to your point though, they got Josh Allen still. You knew they were going to have Kincaid. Listen, James Cook was a guy that was up and coming. I mean, they're doing this with Darnold.
But Darnold's got Justin
but who would
Jefferson.
You have said?
We've seen them be successful in that Kevin O'Connell system with other quarterbacks. We've seen them do it.
But it's still until you see what Darnold and they beat, like that's the other thing. They beat the 49ers. I don't care the 49ers didn't have CMC. They beat the 49ers and
that's a big deal.
And they really beat them bad though. And the other thing too is, you're talking about, well, I can see them winning the division. I think most people could see them winning the division. Not the Vikings. They had to deal with Detroit and Green Bay. And now we're talking about the Vikings maybe winning the division. I mean, come on. That is way bigger of a surprise through 2 weeks than
I've seen this from the Vikings
you
and
just
Kevin
don't
O'Connell.
You personally didn't believe in the Bills. That's what it was. That's the problem. You just didn't believe in the Bills. Everyone else believed in the Bills. You didn't even have them making the playoffs.
All right, next one. I think I know where you were going with this because you already kind of admitted it. So the Saints dominant start or the Jags remaining middle of the pack as the definition of mid, not improving, not being competitive. Saints marching in or the Jags staying in neutral? Which one is the bigger surprise?
I mean, listen, they're both surprises to me, but the bigger surprise is the Saints dominant start. I talked about the Cowboys victory, but listen to this, JT. They have 91 points they've scored. They've only allowed 29. The next closest team in terms of points scored is 69 points. They have scored, 22 more points than any other team in the league through 2 games. That's a lot through 2 games.
You know what's crazy about that? So I was actually reading the stat the other day that this is like the lowest start of like total team passing touchdowns through like the first 2 weeks since like 2018. How many points you said they have?
91.
Guess how many touchdown passes have been thrown in the NFL in the first 2 weeks?
90.
66. The Saints and Rashid Shaheed are responsible for boosting the stat up. Imagine if they weren't this good. Like the NFL offenses would be looking terrible right now, stats-wise. But yeah, I agree with you. It's the Saints. Like I didn't expect much from the Jags. This is what they are. It's Trevor Lawrence. They're just going to do Trevor Lawrence things, not get it done, and nobody's going to say anything about it. That's what he does. But just think about the narrative on the Saints before the season. Derek Carr was washed, and he was going to get benched for Spencer Rattler. Dennis Allen was the worst coach in the league, and he was going to be fired by like week 3. And Alvin Kamara was washed, what some people were saying. Like, none of those things are happening. And on top of that, they go in the complete opposite end of the spectrum. They're blowing teams out. Like, they're playing so good. Derek Carr is out here doing dance moves in the end zone as touchdown celebrations. That's how you know that a team is cooking if Derek Carr is having fun and dancing. So, yeah, the Saints being dominant is definitely a bigger surprise to me. Next one. So we're going to go panic or relax. I'm just going to give you a team or a player. You tell me if we need to panic or relax on them and why. First one, Baltimore Ravens. Panic or relax?
Ooh.
Nah, go ahead. Be biased. Be biased because you know you wearing the gold and the black. You know you want to say panic. So just go ahead and say it.
No, it's a tough one. But I'm going to say relax because it's John Harbaugh and they'll get it right. I mean, they're just like the Steelers. Even if the Steelers started 0-2, no one's going to panic. Like, they'll get it right. They've been there before. They'll have the defense. They've got Lamar. They'll be fine. So I'm going to go relax, but not as relaxed as I would have said a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, because some of this team's getting older, and I'm not seeing them having fun. Like, has John Harbaugh's voice kind of gotten stale in that locker room?
Is he turned into like the Pete Carroll?
I don't know.
We've heard this shit so many times.
I don't know. But I'm still going to say relax because it is still the Ravens. They got Lamar. They'll be okay. They got enough veterans.
This is my team, not named the Dolphins. So if if the Dolphins are done, I'm rooting for the Ravens. I'm panicking because I think this team has flown too close to the sun so many times. They're just so used to, oh yeah, we're just gonna turn it on and then everything will fall into place. The culture, what we've relied on in the past will just work. this ain't one of them type of teams because there's so many things happening with this team that typically don't happen and they can rely on. Biggest things, offensive line. They usually always have a great O-line. It is not that good this year, especially that interior, which I think is leading to some of their struggles. Derrick Henry ain't looking like Derrick Henry. I was expecting this guy to come in and rush for 1,300 yards and 20 touchdowns. He's not looking like that. You already mentioned, and we talked about they're not having fun. Like Lamar's the biggest person I think is not having fun. And then something that I never thought I would see happen is going on, and this could be the sign of the apocalypse. Justin Tucker is missing field goals. Like, that's the best thing they can rely on. That is automatic. If all else fails, we know Justin Tucker can boot it from 50 yards in automatic. He missing kicks every week. Like, that's got to be a sign that, this ain't the same struggles we're used to. So I'm panicking on him. Like, it's just too many things I'm accustomed to not seeing with them happen at the same time where I'm like, I don't know, man. It's like, this is worrisome. But let's take it down to the guy that's going to get all the blame if this doesn't work out. Lamar Jackson, rated MVP. Panic or relax?
I'm going to say relax because you look at his first two games. Listen, I don't know what they're doing with the system. I don't know if it's the play calling, the offensive line, but he's still putting up his numbers. 273 and a touchdown against the Chiefs, played clean football. 247 and a touchdown, did have a pick against the Raiders, but he had 122 rushing yards against the Chiefs. Like, he's still doing his thing. It's everyone else that's messing up. So in terms of panic or relax on Lamar as the quarterback, on Lamar as the football player, relax. Come on. He's reigning two-time MVP.
Yeah, even though I said panic on the team, I'm going to say relax on Lamar because we know this is exactly what happens. John Harbaugh and this non-talented team gets him in the jams, and Lamar just says, all right, I'll put us on our back, do what I do best, make shit happen, and I'll get it done. So he's going to play his game. Like, he's still going to be an MVP candidate. He's going to be top rushing quarterback in the league. He's going to put up like 3,500 passing yards, maybe 25 plus touchdowns through the air. Like, this is what he does. It's whether the rest of the team will hold up their end of the bargain. So I'm going to say relax on Lamar because we've seen him in these situations before. Panic or relax? New York Jets.
I'm going to go panic here. I know they're only 1-1, and one of those losses was of the 49ers, but you look against a better team like the 49ers, Aaron Rodgers, 13-21, 167 yards and interception. You say, okay, well, maybe the run game's going well. Breece Hall, 16 carries, 54 yards, only a 3.4 average. We know the defense gave up 32 points. And then you look at this past weekend when they beat a struggling Titans team, and they had to grind out that win. It was not easy. And you look at what Rodgers did, 176 yards and 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall, only a 4.4 average. Like, I am not feeling confident in this offense. I know it's only 2 games, but maybe
they're not feeling like the world beaters everyone tried to tell us they were. Like, oh, yeah, it's easily their division. They're going to the Super Bowl.
Maybe this is what – and listen, they still give up 17 points to a Titans offense that I still don't know who plays on that Titans offense. Like,
hey, all I know is Will Levis tried to give him the game. Like, he literally threw the ball to him and was like, here, take it.
And on top of that, I'm not seeing – maybe this is what Aaron Rodgers is as near the end of his career. Like, this is what he's going to do. Manage the game with 180 yards and a touchdown without throwing a pick. Like, and if that's what it is, yeah, that'll get you 10 wins. But come December, January, playoff time, you got to do more than that because you're going to face Kansas City. You're going to face Baltimore. You're going to face Buffalo. You're going to face teams, Cincinnati maybe, that can score. Like, what are you going to do then? I mean, I don't know. I am panicking on the Jets, not because of week 1, but what they did against the Titans. I would have liked to see them win by 2 touchdowns. I would have liked to see that offense open it up. He hasn't thrown for more than 176 yards so far. Maybe this is what Aaron Rodgers is in this system. I don't know.
Maybe that team is just as bad as they were when there was Zach Wilson. Like, there's just not a lot of talent on that team. I agree with you. I am panicking on them. Now, the Aaron Rodgers aspect, I think this is a byproduct of him missing all of last year, probably taking it easy in the preseason, coming off that injury. So him and Garrett Wilson, they'll get that connection going. The thing that's worrying me is, you mentioned it, they got to play all those AFC teams that are going to be at the top, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bengals. Now the Bills. You know what's the problem? Their defense got to stop those guys, and they can't. Like, this defense was supposed to be a top 5 lock defense. Sauce Gardner and the boys are supposed to be so good, they're going to be shutting people down. I'm not feeling so peaceful about the Jets defense, man. It's like Hassan Reddick was trying to tell us something. There's a reason I'm not coming to this dumpster fire unless you pay me what I'm worth. It's because you need me. They have no pass rush. And you know what happens when you have no pass rush? It don't matter how good Sauce Gardner and that back end is because they can't cover guys forever. The defense not being able to stop middle to lower tier offenses like the Titans, that worries me because that means the Chiefs are going to cook them. You saw what the 49ers did to them on opening on Monday night. Like, no CMC. Brandon Ayuk basically didn't play, and they ran through him with the undrafted free agent running back. So, yeah, I'm panicking on the Jets because of the defense. The defense ain't living up to lofty preseason expectations. All right. Next one. Now this is serious because this hurt. This hurt a little bit. But more concerning NFL future, Bryce Young, who was just benched by the Panthers, or Will Levis, who we just talked about his struggles with the Titans. Whose NFL future career is more concerning to you?
I think it's got to be Bryce Young. I mean, you go number 1 overall. That team has put a lot of capital in you. In 2 games into the new head coaching regime, who this is a guy that look what he's done for.
This your boy.
It's my guy.
He's supposed to be the whisperer.
Yeah, look what he did for Baker, and they're continuing that. So, as our guy put it up, as our guy Mike Regina just wrote in. Thanks for watching as always. Bryce Young, not even close. I 100% agree with you, Mike Regina. It's Bryce Young, and it's not even close. I mean, number 1 draft capital, had a terrible year last year because you got to remember, Levis did not play all the games last year quite like Bryce.
And he actually had a good game last year where people were like, "Oh, he might be the answer."
Right,
for Will
Levis. And you bring in all of these supposed weapons. You get another number 1 first-round receiver in Xavier Leggett. You bring in Deontay Johnson. You draft a running back. Granted, Jonathan Brooks hasn't played yet, but you've got Dave Canales, offensive guy, and you still can't do it. And I understand you played the Saints, but then it's like, now it's 2 games in and you're getting benched. So I think that's the problem is even under the new coach, you're getting benched. He doesn't have to, and we're not sure about ownership, right? David Tepper, he will do whatever it takes to win.
In the league.
So he'll say, see you, Bryce Young. I don't care we spent a first-round pick on you just last year. You're not winning. You are out. He seems to be very temperamental in that he's very
he ain't patient.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's more concerning for sure.
Yeah, I would say it's easily Bryce Young for a few reasons. You made a lot of good points. The things that stick out to me is this. Let's look at the Dave Canales aspect. I don't know who made the decision to bench him, but think about this. Think about how many quarterbacks that have been drafted like top 5 that have been bad throughout their first contract that got to start for like 2 or 3 years. Like Sam Darnold, who was just on the Panthers, comes to mind. Like, how long did Sam Darnold start in New York before they pulled the plug? Same thing with Zach Wilson. Like, these are guys drafted in the same spot as Bryce Young, and they struggled. They weren't good the first like 2 or 3 years of their careers, but they never were benched this early in their career. So that's scary to me. And the other thing is, nobody, you mentioned Dave Tepper being temperamental. Nobody trusts their job security in Carolina. Like, look at Canales. He's like, look, I got to start winning games or I'm going to be just like your boy Frank Reich. They fired him after 11 games. 11 games, they fired him. And it's not like this team was like, all right, we're just a quarterback away. We're expecting this guy to be the final piece to make us competitive. This was a bottom 5 roster last year, and they might be worse this year. So the goal was always it was going to take time to build up to be a good team. So the fact that they made Bryce Young's leash this short with that situation that they're in, it's got to be concerning for him. And also, too, we know how this goes. Black quarterbacks, they don't get to stick around in the league as long, especially as backups, as white quarterbacks do. Will Levis, I already know it's going to happen. He'll flame out. Somebody will be like, you know what? He's got the arm talent. He's got the size. We can bring him in. We can fix him, and he'll be jumping around from team to team. He'll be Andy Dalton. on a team for 10 years.
He'll be a journeyman. He'll be
a journeyman on a team for 10 years. He'll have a few stop gaps here and there where he plays good for 2 or 3 games. Like, he'll be in the league. Bryce Young might be out of the league if he does not have another team willing to take a chance on him. And that's sad, because this is like, think about when he got drafted. Nobody was like, oh, yeah, they should have taken CJ Stroud. They made the wrong decision. It was like, okay, we understand what we've seen from Bryce Young, but also CJ Stroud's very good at number 2. The fact that they gave up on him just 2 games into his second season, that's crazy. And like you said, what they gave up to get him, like that makes it even crazier. So yeah, his NFL future is definitely the most concerning, because if he don't find the team willing to take a chance on him and fix him, he's going to be at home. Like, he's not going to be in the league. I don't see him making it as a backup.
Yeah, and our guy Mike Regina also writes, the offensive line gave up only 4 pressures on Sunday. This is all Bryce. And David Burns writes, watching from Cedar Hill, Texas. Thank you for watching and listening to us. So JT,
hold on. Before you go, I just want to ask one more question. I know it's not scripted, but do you think it was the right move for them to bench him?
I mean, it's tough to say because we're not in the building, right? We're not at practice.
But just we don't know what we see from the outside and what we know.
Yes, because I'm a big proponent of young guys getting to sit and watch and learn. And Andy Dalton, as you mentioned, journeyman, he's the ultimate professional. So maybe Bryce can kind of take a breather, sit, because they're not a good team either. So he can sit, take a breather, get his legs under him as a real NFL player, professional quarterback, learn from Andy Dalton, but also that may slow the game down a little bit. And if he does get that next chance, I think he would be better if he's putting in the work leading up to that. So I think for him, I think this is a good move, because now he could really kind of learn and process things, because not all quarterbacks can jump in there as a rookie like CJ Stroud did, right? Yeah, and you know me, I'm a big proponent of rookie quarterbacks. I don't care if you take them first. I don't care if you take them number 32 at the end of the first round, like Lamar, like sit them, let them learn at least for half the season. And if you're 0-8, maybe put them in. But if you don't have the line to do it, don't put them in and get them killed.
It's difficult. Like, it's not just guys like Bryce Young. Think about all the rookie quarterbacks that got drafted this year. Guess how many of those rookie quarterbacks have thrown a touchdown so far this year? 0. Like it's very hard to play this position in the league. But I will say this. I agree with you. I think it's the best move for both parties. Like you said, Bryce gets a reset. He gets to, see the game from the bench and maybe get his head together. But I think it's good for the Panthers too, because I don't know if you saw Dave Canales' interview when they asked him about this decision. And he said one phrase that let me know that he might have been out on this guy in training camp. He's like, benching him allows us to move forward and play the game the best way schematically. So that means that he felt that Bryce Young, he could not run his offense with that guy on the field. And he's like, yeah, I know Andy Dalton can at least get this done at the minimal level. So he's got to be done. For your coach to say that, I'm like, ooh, that's rough. He's like, I can't run my system with you.
Yeah. And our guy, Mike Regina, writes in again. And you got to remember, Mike Regina, he's our resident in-house Carolina Panthers expert. He knows more about Carolina Panthers football than I bet you most people in that building, including in their front office, know. So he says, no, keep him out there and lock up the number 1 pick. Putting Andy in there and winning 3 games does nothing. Obviously, yes, that may be true, but
that's what makes me think. That's what makes me think Canales is doing this for his job, because he knows
but there's a couple factors.
Leash.
He needs to win, and also listen. You gave up so much for Bryce Young for you to give up to him. But I'm saying as the organization, for you to give up on him 19 games in after giving up on Frank Reich 11 games in, that's telling everybody everywhere that we have no patience. We're never willing to develop or build somebody, and we're not willing to build this organization. So why would any free agent ever want to go there? Why would the next number 1 overall pick want to go there when they can pull an Eli Manning? Because that's eventually what it comes down to.
That's what Shedeur would do.
Exactly. So at some point, you've got to develop. You have to show as an organization you can develop and have patience. Because if you don't, You're not going to be in this business
Nobody's
very long.
going to want to come to that job.
Tepper's going to end up having to sell it because it's such a circus over there. And exactly, no big-time free agent, no big-time college player will ever want to come and play. They might say, I'd rather go to the CFL than have to ruin my career and my health
to college and get a 9th-year eligibility to come play for the Panthers.
Or make $5 million in NIL money, and hopefully you don't get the number 1 pick the next year.
I mean, maybe it's karma, because I feel like the Panthers are going to lose these games. You're right. They should have kept Bryce Young to get that number 1 overall pick just for them to draft Quinn Ewers. Like, is Quinn Ewers going to come in and save his franchise? Like, yes, you missed on C.J. Stroud, but a lot of people missed on C.J. Stroud. He turned out to be a generational type player, but also he went to a much better situation. He had an all-pro left tackle and Nico Collins there. So,
and don't forget, JT, and don't forget, he had Bobby Slowick.
Yes,
out the gate as a rookie. You know, Bryce Young did not have Canales out there.
He had Josh McCown, who was coaching high school the year before.
Whoa. I mean, you know, high school coaches.
I'm not taking no shots at nobody, but I mean, let me ask you what, you think you can fix Bryce Young right now?
No.
My point exactly.
All right, so our favorite segment, forget about it or forget that. That's because I'm not at that high level. Like,
bro, you got
NFL,
the gel, you got the gelled
NFL
hair,
QB
you got the gelled hair,
should be able
the
to
headset
fix
and the glasses. You're supposed to be a quarterback whisperer.
Wow.
If you can't fix Bryce Young, neither can Josh McCown. Sorry.
Listen, I'm not at the level of NFL caliber type.
You could have been on that staff last year, and maybe it would have been the same results.
All right, so for our favorite segment, forget about it or Fugazi. First one, FSU. Sorry, I guess I should explain the segment just in case we have some first.
Oh yeah, because you know people might not catch on to what's going on. So yeah.
So we're gonna read a statement. If we agree with it, we think it's a good take, a hot take. We're gonna say forget about it. If we disagree with it, we think it's a bad take. We're gonna say Fugazi. All right, first one, JT. FSU is the most disappointing team in college football so far.
I tried so hard to not be biased with this, and it came down to them or Florida. And I'm like, you know what? This is forget about it. It's got to be FSU, because this was a team not even 12 months ago was screaming that they should have gotten to the playoff. They were robbed. You know, we deserved it. We were undefeated. To go from that to, do you confidently think they can win 4 games this year? I looked at their schedule. I see 1 game left that I feel confident they will win. And it's not until the second to last game. Like, this is bad. Like, they're losing the teams that they either should be in close games with them winning, or they should be 2 touchdown victories. Like, what happened to this team? I know they lost 10 players to the NFL draft, but it's FSU. They hit the transfer portal. They recruit guys. They get transfers in all the time. So what happened? This has got to be a disappointing team. And you got a quarterback that's played like 6 years in college football. He has experience. So I think they are the most disappointing team. Like, they could legit have a 3-win season. Go from undefeated to this, got to be the most disappointing.
So, yes, they've had a disappointing season, but, you know, if you know college football, like you and I do, JT, and we had our college football preview show, we said, don't expect a lot from Florida State. They lost a lot of talent.
Expect nothing.
Well, you know, hey,
we love that they get nothing.
Maybe some did. I'm gonna say this is Fugazi. I think the most disappointing team is the Kansas Jayhawks. Preseason AP rank was 22. A lot of excitement in Lawrence, Kansas, and this is for football, not basketball. So, like, there's a lot of hype going in. Hey, we finally have a team. We've got our quarterback. They're 1-2. That's a tough Big 12 conference, so it's not looking like they're going to win it. They lost to Illinois and UNLV. And Jalen Daniels, the star QB who we like, has twice as many interceptions, 6, compared to touchdowns, only 3. And we're talking 3 games. Like, that is why they're the most disappointing, because, listen, that preseason,
FSU was a preseason top 10 team.
I understand, but that was false. That was
so
false.
Kansas wasn't false?
That should not have been. Kansas was a top 25 team. And why I'm saying they're most disappointing is they may have had their best team coming in for 2020 in the past 20, 25 years. And it's not looking like it's going to come to fruition for them or their fan base. And I feel for them.
Disagree.
You can
Next
disagree,
one.
but I'm right.
It's
I got
FSU.
you. I'll read it. NFL teams should be worried about Shedeur Sanders' attitude, quote unquote, whatever that means. Why? What does that mean in there? But go ahead.
Yeah, because I don't think it's a real attitude, but I think it's Fugazi. Is he cocky? Yeah. Is he arrogant? And does he put himself above the team sometimes? Yeah. but it's Shedeur Sanders. Your daddy is literally Deion Sanders. You guys are the only reason Colorado's relevant. They almost did away with the athletics program before you got there, so I get it. But I mean, I don't think it matters because it's all about what NFL teams think. Like, you think an NFL team's gonna care that Deion Sanders' kid is a little bit arrogant? Because I'm sorry, all quarterbacks are arrogant, especially ones that have famous parents and famous daddies. Like, you don't think Arch Manning got arrogance to him? Like, every quarterback's arrogant. So I'm not worried about it. As long as he can play, that is the only thing NFL teams care about. That, and he's staying out of legal trouble.
Yep. It's Fugazi. I mean, listen, at some point, all of those skilled positions have some sort of, swagger to them, have some sort of ego to them. We see all the high-priced receivers getting paid.
Look what Jamar Chase just did on prime time national television.
And you think
they care about his attitude?
And you talk about quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers has had multiple big contracts. He ran his own self out of Green Bay into New York, and they still traded for him. So listen, we've seen it with Antonio Brown. As long as the production is still there and you can play, they will put up with whatever baggage comes with it. Whatever baggage comes with it.
Watson.
Yep.
The Bo Callahan of the NFL. None of his teammates want to even go to his party. Like, if he can make it, you'll be fine.
So, third one. Woo, this one hits home. The steel curtain is back.
I wonder why you left this in. I was like, usually you got some sort of complaining to do, but yeah, you left this shit in. Yeah, they back. TJ Watt, unstoppable.
Whoa.
Unstoppable. And I think the thing that's important is Minkah Fitzpatrick is back and he's healthy. And I think that when he's not there, different dynamic. But yeah, I think it is back just because you guys got the full trifecta. Pressure, you guys are good against the run still, and now you got that difference maker back in the secondary, back to doing what he does best. So yeah, I do think it's back.
I'm gonna say Fugazi, just pump the brakes a little bit. 2 weeks in, we faced the Denver Broncos offense, which is not good.
You know they're good. You nervous. You know they're good. You nervous.
The Broncos are not. Man. Listen, I said Fugazi. They played the Broncos.
They're back.
They played a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix. Listen, he might be good and that offense might turn it around, but they're only 2 games in. I would say relax. We saw last night Atlanta. It's not like they put up 40 on Philly. So just relax. All right. They would have ended up with only 15 points if they hadn't gotten the ball back. So I'm going to say pump the brakes. Steel curtain defense of the 70s, one of the best ever, if not the best. I don't know if that defense is here yet. We'll see. I still want to see more from Patrick Queen. Peyton Wilson, he's a rookie. So I want to see if he can play the whole season. So let's pump the brakes for now.
Hey,
but
man,
no disrespect to my
Steelers. I see somebody who
Steelers.
missed Patrick Queen right now. Baltimore Ravens. They miss Queen right now. If they had him, I wouldn't be panicking on them.
And the last one, the Miami Hurricanes are a lock to make the college football playoffs. Why would you put this one in here? You probably just jinxed us with that.
Forget about it. And I said this before the season. How often can you say going into a season that the Miami Hurricanes have the best quarterback, the best weapons, and the best line on both sides of the ball in the ACC? Yes. There's 12 teams. We're going to be one of them. All we got to do is keep Cam Ward healthy. You can try to be modest all you want to. The fact that we're putting up 60 points on teams that we should be putting 60 points up on, we're not used to seeing that. So, yeah, we got a Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback locked to make the playoffs with 12 teams getting in.
I'm going to say Fugazi because when you say a lock in Miami Hurricanes in the same sentence, I don't believe it.
Go to Vegas right now and get rich. I'm telling you.
Vegas is wrong sometimes. Listen, I can't say they're a lock. This is Fugazi. I until I see it, they cannot be a lock.
And I get it. You're like Bryce Young. You're broken. The Canes have broken you. So
their schedule, yes.
You're seeing ghosts.
That, yes. That's Sam Darnold. That, yes. But listen, their schedule's not as easy as people think. Virginia Tech always plays us tough. We got to go at California. a cross-country road trip. California's been playing well.
FSU
They
is
got
always a tough game. I get it.
They have to go at Louisville, who's a top 20 team. Florida State, they're going to come in. We always got to face Florida State when they get hot. Like, we can't face them ever at the beginning of the year when
we
they
tried that and they was beating us anyway.
That's not true. When they haven't figured stuff out. We always got to face them when they figure things out. They'll make a QB change and we can't stop them. Duke's going to be a good team. At Georgia Tech, they're playing better. Syracuse, I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
You're so nervous because of what you see in the past.
I
guarantee you, we are favored by at least 7.5 points in every one of those games.
We can't have good things. No, we're not
favored by 7.5 weeks. All those games.
We will not be favored by more than a touchdown at Louisville.
That's crazy.
There's no way.
Disagree.
All right, so our favorite segment, weekend predictions. We're going to get those going first time this year. I know we did college week 0. I'll get the standings next week, but we got our college football expert. His picks came in for weekend predictions on college. So the first game, JT, and I'll read his first since he already made the picks. First one, Illinois at Nebraska. Our guy, Coach C, resident college football expert, he's going Nebraska. Who you got?
I got to go Nebraska. Baby Mahomes is looking like he might be the real deal. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Dylan Raiola getting his single white female on, so that's really weird.
I'm going Nebraska as well. It's a home game. Illinois is a good team, but I like the way Nebraska's been playing. USC at the Big House at Michigan. It is a conference Big Ten matchup. Coach C's got USC. I'm going USC. I take that back. I'm going Michigan. I believe Michigan. Everyone's going against Michigan. I'm going Michigan. I think they win this game. I think the USC is going to see what it's like to be in the Big Ten and have to go cross country a lot. This is just the beginning of it. I'm going Michigan. No one's going to give them a chance. I got them. Who you got?
Well, I'm them. I'm everybody not giving them a chance. I'm picking USC too. So,
all right, Utah at Oklahoma State. This is, I think, a Big 12 matchup. JT,
yeah,
is it not?
I wanted to pick Utah. You know, I'm gonna pick them every time, but Cam Rising is hurt again. He's out with, I think, tetanus or something. Ooh. What the hell he's doing? But even though they've been kind of disappointed, I'm going to go Oklahoma State. I don't know where Ollie Gordon is, but I hope he comes back, shows up soon. But, yeah, I'm picking Oklahoma State.
All right. I'm going to go with Oklahoma State as well. I think it's a home game. If they don't got Cam Rising, it's going to be tough. Oklahoma can run the ball. And then the last one, the big game, Tennessee at Oklahoma. SEC conference game, JT. Who you got?
Hey, I'm going with the alien Nico Amaleva. Hey, Tennessee is dangerous. I'm going with them, even though I like Oklahoma as well, but I think Tennessee gets this one.
You know what? I'm going to go Oklahoma. That's going to be a big, bad atmosphere. The environment is going to be electric. Can the young guy from Tennessee come through? I'm going to go Venables. He knows how to get to quarterbacks, so I'm going Venables and his defense. I've got Oklahoma. NFL, this is actually our first week of picking the NFL, 3 weeks in, so we apologize. We've got our resident.
Before you start, I want everyone to notice how short this list is of games that we are picking for the NFL. If he gets them wrong, this list will get longer as the weeks go on. We only picking 4 games.
There's only so many good games.
For those that are watching, he only put 4 games on. If he is losing by the end of this week, that list of games that we pick every week will grow. So I want you guys to be aware of the tactics that he uses to get a decent record. I mean, he don't want to come in first. He just don't want to come in last. So this list will grow. If he gets these wrong, we'll be picking 8 games next week.
JT, we got it. I mean, as the season goes on, there's a lot of good games.
Damn games.
Just keep picking winners
every year.
Keep picking winners. All right, so we got our resident in-house NFL expert. He's back doing weekend predictions. Our guy, Kendall Calhoun. Shout out to King Ken. First game is a good one. Eagles at Saints. He's taking the Saints. Who you got, JT?
Taking the Saints. That Eagles secondary is still bad. And Derek Carr just throwing bombs every other play. Saints.
All right. Texans, I've got the Saints as well, so that's a clean sweep there for all three of us. Texans at the Vikings. King Ken taking the Texans.
This is tough, man, because that Brian Flores defense is no joke. We just saw what they did to Brock Purdy, but CJ Stroud is too great. I'm picking the Texans.
I disagree with you guys. In Minnesota, I'm going Vikings.
It's close.
I was not sold on the way the Texans played against the Bears. I'm sorry. I wasn't
Bears
sold.
are good too.
I understand. And if that's anything, the Vikings defense is better. And in Minnesota, you only score 19 at home on the Bears, where the Bears can't move the ball either. Let's be honest right now. Minnesota going to move the ball. They got this guy named Justin Jefferson. Don't know if you've ever heard of him. All right. Chargers at the Steelers. Oh, this is a tough one. King Ken is going Steelers.
The definition of 3 yards in the cloud of dust. This is going to be the most boring damn game. They might as well just bring back Jerome Bettis, bro.
Hey, if you enjoyed mid-90s NFL football, AFC Central,
if you enjoyed Super Bowl I, this is the game for you. As much as I love your Steelers, man, this year, I'm going to go with the Chargers, man. Something about that team is just so unexpected. I think they're going to give you guys a run for your money.
I think this is going to be a tough game, and it's going to be a good one, even though it'll be kind of low scoring. But I'm going to go with the Steelers. And you know me, I don't always take the Steelers, but I'm going to go Steelers because I think that both teams want to do the same thing. And I just think the Steelers are a little bit better in this moment to do it because of the defense, because of their healthy, like you said, Minka's healthy. But in a year or by the end of the year, it doesn't mean that the Chargers – won't be better.
Hey, the Steelers got Darnell Washington catching one-on-one fade route touchdowns. I mean, anything can happen in this game.
So I'm going with Ken. I'm going Steelers. And then the last one. Lost a little bit of luster over the first 2 weeks, but this is still a big game. Ravens at Cowboys. Who you got? Ken is going Ravens.
I got to go to Ravens. I think that's where they start to turn the corner.
Woo. All right, well, I'm going Cowboys back at home after an embarrassing loss. Can't happen 2 weeks in a row. And I want the Ravens to start 0-3. There's no doubt.
There you go.
There's no doubt. The truth will always come out. All right, JT. So to the fans and listeners out there, thank you as always for listening. We couldn't do it without you. And remember, please subscribe to us, JT and the Dawn All Sports Podcast. We can be found on all of the major platforms. And remember, if you like what we do, leave us a 5-star review. And JT,
if you don't like what we do,
leave us a 5-star review. And also, please remember, we are presented by Give Us a Shot Network. So please subscribe to them on their YouTube channel, on their YouTube network channel. And also, please follow us on social media. Our handle at JT and the Dawn. We can be found on Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. So, JT, week 4 of college football, week 3 of the NFL. We're just getting started. 2 weeks left in the baseball season. It's getting exciting, JT. So, great episode as always, man. A lot of fun. And until the next episode, see ya.
Peace.